I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the neighbor is using his baler again. And he kind of has to hurry up because it's almost sunset. So yeah, with the dry weather we have, he has to gather as much hay as possible. He's probably using the old Soviet baler. I'm not sure what it's called, but I believe it's a old Gale baler knockoff, but not sure. Could be anything else. Hello there. We're going to today take a viewer's question and answer it. And the question regarded the interchangeability of radiators on the Belarus 500 and 800 series. Let me show you what I know and what I think about the interchangeability. Here's the viewer's question in mind. Guest Duties asks, hello, I have the same tractor and my tractor is leaking water. Bought the new one, it's from a MTZ 80 and the top is different. The old one have a hole there connected from the steering wheel inside the cab straight to the steering column. I don't know how to remove the part, not breaking anything else. Doing this for the first time. Short video would be helpful. Thanks a lot. Sorry for my English. Well, I tried to do a short video, but it didn't work out. So I'm going to do a longer one and hopefully explain the radiator interchangeability with it. So for demonstration purposes, I'm using my own 520 Belarus or the MTZ 52 to show you the example about the radiator interchangeability between the 500 and 800 series. And when we're talking about the 8 and 500 series, I'm mentioning the old ones before 1990. So everything you see in this video is regarding the old models. So let's get to it. Now, this is a 500 series radiator. The minus side of these radiators really is they tend to leak, and if they don't leak from these fittings, they usually leak from the ribs. And this one also has been patched several times. And the real downside with these radiators is they have a little bit of a larger cooling capacity than the 800 series radiators. But as you can see, everything is bronze welded shut. So basically you have to tear if you want to change the core, which is, I would know, these cores go bad after time, and 30 years of work, they tend to go bad. Yeah, you have to take the bottom and upper tank off, and it's going to be a nightmare to get it back. Also, this radiator has these hold down brackets. Now the brackets here are the same on the 800, but this has additional reinforcements. So the question regarding can you swap the radiators? Well, apparently you can. You can put the 800 series radiator here, but just keep in mind the 800 series doesn't have, for the older style thermostat, this is a capillary tube thermostat, or the temperature gauge. This one, you would have to get creative or make a hole or make a fitting here to get this working, because on the 800 series the thermostat is, or the temperature sensor actually is taken off the block instead of from the radiator. And to make things a bit complicated, the radiators do fit, but here's the catch. If you want to use the fan shroud, you do need the 800 series fan shroud, because the 500 series fan shroud will not bolt onto the 800 series fan shroud. So the fan shrouds between the 500 and 800 are different. So if you are swapping the radiators, you need to get this part. Now the 800 series, I believe, does not have this closable curtain or rib cage, basically, where you close it to get warm up the engine. I believe they have a different system. So basically you can't put this one on at all, or you would have to modify the brackets. There's a lot of fiddling and shenanigans with that. But in other terms, the 800 series radiator is better than the 500 series one, because you have the upper and lower tank are, you can bolt them off instead here where they're just, welded shut. Basically, yeah, it's a bit complicated. Now, how you take off the radiator? Really easy. The question I believe was regarding that coupler there. But the first thing, you drain the coolant, you loosen the bolts of the fan shroud. The fan shroud is going to get pulled this way. You can't put the fan shroud on later. That fan shroud has to be on the water pump anyway. The one thing that people throw these fan shrouds away is, they want to work on the water pump and they don't have enough clearance, so they take the fan shroud away. But if you remove the fan shroud, you're kind of asking for the engine to completely overheat or, cause permanent damage. So the fan shrouds is a must on these engines. Then you have to take this rib cage off here, unbolt. If you have a 500 series tractor, this rod that pulls the rib cage. Take the hoses off. Now the lower hose can fight you back. It's usually they don't want to come loose at all. The upper hose is an easy one. And here's the thing with this coupler. This coupler here, it's not permanently attached. So in order to take this coupler or this yoke off, you basically have to unbolt the coupler. You're going to have to slide it this way with the hammer. Because, why not? It's on 2 Woodruff keys, so it goes only this way. You can't put it the other way because, it doesn't have clearance to go this way. So once this is back and you have the steering linkage or the steering rod removed from the wheel, which connects to the wheel, you can actually pull this one this direction. So basically you have to pull it towards yourself, and it's just splined. Usually when the spline's really rusted, you can use, there's a bit of a clearance here to put a, what is it called? A tool or pry bar. You can actually get unhooked. If it's really rusty, I would use, I don't know, just try to wiggle it out. Basically, that's the only, you can't use it because, there's flammable materials here, and that should be it. I mean, it's a bit wiggling around. If it's really worn and loose, it'll pop out just without issues. If it's rusted on the splines, it'll fight you, but eventually you can get it loose. So yeah, it's a bit of a fiddling and finicking around, but it's doable. And now we're going to show some diagrams. We're going to explain more about what the difference of these radiators is and why I believe the 800 series radiator is far more supreme than this one. If you're going to swap the radiators out from a 500 series to an 800 series, you do have to keep in mind that the 800 series oil cooler is completely different from the 500 series. Now, as you see on the diagram, this is a MTZ 8082 or the 800 series Belarus tractor oil cooler for 1975 to, I believe, 1990, because this is the tractors of our interest. And as you can see, they do also bolt differently onto the radiator. And if we look at the typical 500 series radiator, this is actually the older style one, which has these cooling fans in it. The newer one doesn't have any cooling fans, it just has tubes. Then we see a very interesting thing. We see the 500 series oil cooler would not actually bolt on to the 800 series radiator. However, you can get away with it by just making a bracket to fit. So basically you don't have to get the 800 series oil cooler. And like I said, I would not recommend bypassing the oil cooler on these old engines, because these are there designed and put for a certain reason. Now we go to another problem, the fan shroud. This is what the 800 series fan shroud looks like. Completely different design. And if we look at the 500 series fan shroud, this is an older style one. There's different styles of these. The shroud itself is the same, but the mechanism on this diagram is the older one. I believe this is pre-1968. But for demonstration purposes, I will say that if you're going with the 800 series cooling radiator, you do have to sacrifice this fan shroud. So you can't put this one on anymore if you have, the 800 series radiator. So this one will not bolt into the 800 series radiator. Now, on this diagram, we're looking at the classical 500 series radiator, and as you can see, the top and bottom of them are brass welded shut. You can take the radiator out and leave the hold down brackets, which is these two large metal brackets left and right, onto the tractor. You don't have to take them out, but I would recommend taking them out with the bracket. Also, if you're going to a radiator swap anyway, I would recommend getting the 800 series fan shroud and the radiator hold downs, because apparently also those brackets that hold the radiator on the thermostat are also different, or maybe you have to just kind of make those other ones fit. I don't think they have to be the same part number, but that is something you should keep in mind. So I would say yes, the radiator swap is doable, but these are the most important things to keep in mind. Well, that would be all. I mean, that should be a self-explaining video how to change the radiator and about the interchangeability of parts. And if you found this, you know, interesting or useful, that's good, because educating people takes time and a lot of effort. So thank you all for watching, and see you all soon.